We're going to now look at some the basic operations for algebraic fractions, which are multiplication, division, addition and subtraction. And I'll probably do them in that order because I think multiplication and division are much easier than addition and subtraction, so we'll work through those. Don't throw out your knowledge of just doing fractions, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division of fractions as well, because the rules for basic fractions are the same as with algebraic fractions. If you go back to multiplication of basic fraction, if you had a over b times c over d, then you multiplied out the tops, so that'll be AC, and you multiplied out the bottoms, which are the denominators, and that'll be BD. And then what you would do is try and cancel down. So for instance, if you had 3 over 5 times, say 7 over 15, you could multiply out the tops, or before you actually multiplied out the tops and the bottoms, you could actually try and cancel down. And you can see from here that 3 is a factor of both 3 and 15, and we'll divide 3 into it, so as long as it goes in evenly. And then we multiply out like we did here. 1 times 7 is 7, and 5 times 5 is 25. So it wouldn't have mattered. You could have had 21 over 5, 15, 75, and then divide both of those by 3. 3 into 21 goes 7. 3 into 75 goes 25, so 7 over 25, which is exactly the same as the answer up there. So that's for basic numeracy as far as fractions go. So algebraic fractions, we're going to apply the same thing. Now maybe there are a couple more steps. If we look here, it doesn't look like we've got too much that will cancel. We can actually cancel these down here, but we can't cancel anything on this diagonal at the moment. But this looks like is a quadratic which we can actually factorize, and if we factorize it, then we may see that the h minus 2 might divide into it. So let's have a look first at factorizing h squared plus 4h plus 4. We firstly look for a common factor. There is none. And then we use our cross method. The factors of h squared are h and h. The factors of plus 4 could be plus 4 plus 1, minus 4 minus 1, plus 2 plus 2. Now that looks like it's promising. So I'll put plus 2 and plus 2. And when we multiply along the arm, we get plus 2h. Multiply along that arm, we get plus 2h. Add the two together and we get plus 4h, which indeed is our middle term, so that is correct. So the factors of h squared plus 4h plus 4 are h plus 2, h plus 2. So instead of that that term up there, h squared, that expression h squared plus 4h plus 4, we can write h plus 2 plus h times h plus 2. So let's write it all out again. 3h times, now instead of that, I'm going to write h plus 2 times h plus 2. So that is the numerator. So I'll factorize that, and then on the bottom we've got h plus 2 times 6h squared. So we've multiplied out, and now, so we've done our multiplication like up here, and now we're going to see if we can cancel down. So we can straight away see that the h plus 2, the same term, is connected by multiplications top and bottom. So that'll be 1, and that'll be 1. That's 3 times h, and that's 6 times h squared, so it's connected by multiplication. 3 into 3 once, 3 into 6 goes 2. and h will go into h squared, just h times. Now when we multiply out the top, we've got 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So we've got h plus 2 on the top. They don't even look like pluses, do they? We should make sure they are pluses there. H plus 2, H plus 2. So h plus 2 is the numerator, and then 1 times 2 times h is just 2h. That's about it. There's no point in doing anything more. Can I stress also that you can't cancel that h with that h? This h is connected to the 2 times by a multiply, but that h is connected to that 2 by a plus. You can only cancel things that are connected by multiplication. So you cannot cancel that h down with that h. H plus 2 over 2h is our final answer, exactly as there, just without the brackets. So that's multiplication of fractions. Good idea to factorize first, multiply it all out, write it as a numerator, denominator, then see if you can cancel down and get down there. Okay, let's go down to division. And we've got division of algebraic fractions, so we've got one algebraic fraction divided by another one. Now what are our rules with division? If you had A on B divided by C on D, the rules are that you write the first one as it is, A on B, you change the divide to a multiply, and then you flip this one upside down. And then you multiply out, and you get A times D is AD over BC. And then when you get that, you see if you can cancel down into its lower steps. Once again, we'll apply that rule. So we've got 2t minus 4, I'll just change this to a times, over 5t squared, multiply and flip this one upside down. My next step is to write it all out as a single fraction. So do the multiplication, which is doing this step from there to there. So I get 2t minus 4 times 10t over 5t squared times t squared plus t minus 6. Now, with this as well, it looks like if we can factorize these two here, we may be able to get things that will cancel down. And we say, righto, let's look at the numerator first. What have we got here? We've got a common factor of 2, so that'll be 2 outside of t minus 2. 10t will just stay as it is. 5t squared on the denominator will stay as it is. And we've got a trinomial here, so we're going to try and use our knowledge of factorizing quadratics with the cross method. Factors of t squared are t and t. And then factors of -6. So we've got -3 plus 2. -3 plus 2 is going to give us a -t in the middle, which is not what we want. So we'll try +3 and -2. Multiply along, we get +3t. Multiply along there, we get -2t. We add those two together and we get +1t, which is just +t, which is just that there. So that is correct. So my factors are t plus 3 and t minus 2. Now we can see what will cancel down. We've got the t minus 2's will cancel out. We've got a 5 into 5 goes once, 5 into 10 goes 2. And we've got a t into t goes once, and t into t squared just goes t times. Now it's a bit tricky getting all these together. So 2 times 1 times 2 is equal to 4 over, we've got a t outside of t plus 3. Now don't multiply that out into t squared plus 3t, just leave it as it is. So we get 4 over t open bracket t plus 3 when we do the division. So the probably big message is here, when you're doing multiplication and division of algebraic fractions, remember your rules for just ordinary multiplication and division of fractions. Factorize when you've got quadratics, and then see if you can cancel down to reduce it to its lowest terms. And that's the same with multiplication. Keep remembering your rules. Multiply out and then factorize and cancel down.